Hello students, good evening and welcome to Trunkie Academy. Today again we are here to study a new topic. Okay, since past 1 week we have studied some different topics and about the diversity in living world and diversity of living organism. Okay, so today we will study about the different criteria and basis for classification, that is as per the syllabus of your class 9. Okay, so first we will start with the why there is need of classification and what are the different bases, then we will study. Okay, first we will go through that what are the actually why this classification of plants and animals are required, and what are the advantage by classifying all the different living organisms. Okay, so first we will start with the importance of classification. Importance of classification. Okay, so number one, since we need to observe, we need to research, we need to study about different living organisms, so that and also need to differentiate between one organism from to another. So we must know the different characteristic features present in the living organisms, and there are many organisms, they show similarities between them, and these similar organisms, whether plants or animals, are placed in one group. Okay, and they are named in such a way that a standard name or scientific name is there for all the living organisms, so that it will be universal throughout the world, and whenever any researcher or the botanist or zoologist, when they are observing and studying about the different plants and animals, it will be easy for them to talk about and understand to the about this living organism, because the name in different languages is different. Okay, so to maintain that, or to make one universal name, the scientific name, that is zoological name and botanical name, is implemented. Okay, so it makes the study of wider variety of it makes the study of wide variety of organisms easy and in systematic manner. In systematic manner. That means without name it is very difficult to study and differentiate, and also the without knowing the different features of the organism, it's very difficult to study. Okay, so then so many different variety of organisms are there, and some organisms are look similar but may be different from each other. The few features of that particular organism may be similar, but their feeding habit, food habit, or the mode of reproduction, or anatomical features, or mode of reproduction, all this may be different. So to know the exact group of that particular organism or the class of that organism, we need to study about all the features present in the that particular organism, whether it is morphological features, whether it is the anatomical features, or it is the similarities between the other organisms. We need to study about all the features. Okay, so by classifying and naming it, it is making us easy to study about a different variety of organisms, and also that in a systematic manner. Okay, it helps to now. Second point is it helps to understand. Helps to understand how the different organisms have evolved with time. Have evolved with time. Okay, when we are studying about the different plants and animals, and we are comparing with other organisms, and then we are placing into different groups after studying the different characteristic features. So when we go through different features, we realize that how the animals and plants have evolved. Okay, like in case of algae, the most primitive, or I mean the smallest plant, green plants, which has no leaves, no stems, no roots differentiated. And then if we go to bryophytes, next higher level of plants, we find that then there is a little bit of slight differentiation, some leaf-like structures are there. And then again in higher group, in case of pteridophytes, we find that some stems-like structures are there, and it has got some conducting tissue. Okay, so this conducting tissue were again involved in the more specialized way in case of gymnosperm, and even more efficient in case of the angiosperm. So this gives, while studying all these the different features, whether it is the conduction of water, whether it is the other features or anatomical features, like in case of animals, we see the fishes have got 2 chambers of heart. Okay, in case of the reptile, there are 3 chambers. In case of apes and birds, there are 4 chambers of heart. So this shows that how evolution has occurred. And also, while studying all these animals and plants, we find that there are some organisms that forms the basis for connecting link between 2 broad groups. Like for example, Archaeopteryx, they forms the connecting link between the birds and the reptiles. Okay, they possess some features which are similar to reptiles, and some features which are similar to class Aves, that is birds. So they form the basis. I mean, the one example that the birds were evolved from reptiles like animal Archaeopteryx. So all these things indicate that how evolution has occurred. Okay, like monkey have got tail. Okay, and other mammals. Okay, and we don't find in case of human beings. So, but coccyx, the last bone from where the tail starts. Okay, that is present in case of human beings also. Though it is not functional. So all these features, when we study anatomically or morphological features, we find that the organisms are adapted. Another point is organisms are adapted to its particular environment, and how the animals have evolved with time. Okay, now it helps to understand the relationship. Yes, this is the phylogenetic. It helps to understand the relationship to different groups of organisms, between different, this point I have already explained a little bit. I'll tell you again. Different groups of organisms. Now, as I was telling you, when you are studying, we know that there are some connecting links. In case of duck-billed platypus, okay, is a kind of such a unique animal where you find the body and the hairs, which is the characteristic feature of mammals, but it lay eggs. Means, which is not the characteristic feature of mammals. Mammals, they give birth to young ones, and it is called viviparous. Okay, the animals which are giving birth to young ones, the development of the individual takes place within the body of the organism, and when it is fully formed, fully developed, and then the birth takes place, that is called viviparous. Okay, so this is a bit, I will write in the here, viviparous and oviparous. Viviparous means the the fully developed fetus is okay, when the fetus is fully developed, then the organism gives to give birth to young ones. Okay, and there is another term called oviparous, means the organism or animals, they lay eggs. Okay, then the development of embryo takes place, and sorry, then the development of the individual, that young one takes place, egg, and then when egg is fully the young one is fully developed inside the egg, then the shell of the egg breaks, and then the young one comes or hatch out from the egg. Okay, so that is called the oviparous. Okay, so in case of this duck-billed platypus, we find that it lay eggs, but the presence of hairs on the body. But birds and the reptiles which lay eggs, they do not have hairs on the body. So presence of hair on the body indicates that it is similar, or it is resembling the mammals. So in the line of course of evolution, during the evolution, it proves that there was some animal connecting link between the reptile and the mammals. So mammals were evolved from the animals like reptile-like animals, that is the duck-billed platypus. So in case of the birds also, so reptiles gave the two different direction of evolution, one towards the evolution of birds and one towards the evolution of mammals. So all these things, relationship, are understood by studying the different characteristic features. Okay, anatomical features and the morphological features, and also the physiological processes. Okay, how the physiological process is more specialized and advanced in the body of the organisms. So all this studying, okay, we come to know, and we can conclude that the relationship between the different organisms. Okay, now number one, it forms a base. Forms a base for the study of other biology, study of other biological sciences, biological sciences, like biogeography. Okay. Other branch, there are so many branches of science like zoology, botany, okay, biogeography, then the ecology, okay, then parasitology, protozoology, okay. There are so many branches of biology, but biogeography is a branch of science, this biology, where we are studying about or deals with the study of the distribution of organism on the different parts of our planet Earth. Okay, and how this different organisms, some organisms or group of organisms were living together, and then some landscape were separated apart, and those there was separation of some group of organisms, then later on they develop into another species. All these things that we study in biogeography, okay, this classification also helps in the study of biogeography. So when you go to higher classes like class 11, okay, or higher, then you will study about more in detail about the biogeography. Okay, so there are the 4 points where, or the need of classification, or you can say the importance of classification. Okay, why we need to classify, and what are the advantage of classifying organisms. Without classifying, just imagine in a class of 40 students in a classroom, and we are just writing the fourth one, the one student, the boy is sitting at the back of that one. If you say like this, it will be too difficult to talk, and and describe about that particular student. Okay, if the name is there, okay, the particular name for each student is there, and the roll number is there, so it will be easy for us to describe and talk about it, isn't it? So similarly, for all the living organisms, okay, there should be a name, and also they belong to which group. There are different divisions because all the organisms are not same. Okay, so we are placed depending on the similarities. We are placing the animals and plants into a one group. Again, in that particular group, if we see some differences, then again we are bringing that into a subtype or subgroup, and in this way we are going up to the last stage, the last step, that is they call species or name of that particular population. Okay, only particular. Now, okay. Now this was all about the importance of classification. Now after this we will study about the basis of classification. Okay, so how the classification is based on, okay, what are the different criteria on which classifications are based on. Okay, how do we classify, on what basis? Okay, so basis of classification, this is there in the NCERT and CBSE, basis of classification, and this is important topic as you go up in the higher classes. Okay, so all these things, it must be clear so that it will be easy for you to understand and study in higher classes. Okay, so why basis? There are certain features or properties used for the classification, of living organisms, which are known as characteristics, which are known as characteristics. Okay, so we are referring to the certain features, like for example, depending on the presence of pigment, the algae, thallophyta are classified. So we are classifying on the basis of some features, certain characteristic features. Okay, so certain features or properties. Okay, for example, in periodic table also the elements are classified in chemistry. In periodic table we are classifying into D block elements, P block element, S block element, depending on the properties of that element. Okay, similarly here also we are observing the different features, and we see the which features is more prominent and easy to differentiate between the different these organisms. Okay, so we are choosing that, and based on that or those certain features or properties we are classifying, and these are called characteristics. Okay, because that is found in the, okay, in that particular group of organism only, so we said characteristics, known as characteristics. Okay, so organisms with the same characteristics are placed into same group. So organisms with same characteristics are placed in same groups. Okay, so they are placed into same group because they possesses the same characteristics. Okay, so they are in the same group. Okay, now we will study that some important characteristic that is used for a hierarchical classification. Okay, what are that? Some certain characteristic features are common. Okay, which not commonly considered for the classification. Okay, so some important characteristics characteristics used for hierarchical classification. Hierarchy means from like larger group to the lower group. Okay, they're like in the taxon that you study in class 11 of the taxa and taxon. Okay, but you know very well there is species, genus, family, order. Okay, so the broader one is like phylum. Then we under the phylum there is a class, then the subclass, infraclass, order, family, genus, species. So this is the hierarchy from higher to lower. Okay, and each one like family, order, genus, which are called taxon. Okay, in plural it's called taxa, T-A-X-A, taxa. Okay, so hierarchical classification are okay. So number one, presence and absence of nucleus in the cell. Presence or absence of nucleus in the cell. Now try to understand this. This is one of the most common, okay, criteria to divide the different group of. Based on this, R.H. Whittaker divide the use this criteria during the 5 kingdom classification. There are prokaryotic cells. We know that the prokaryotic cells have primitive type of nucleus. The nucleus is not prominent, not distinct. It is the chromosomes which is present in the nucleus is dispersed in the cytoplasm. Okay, and there are some type of organisms where we find the eukaryotic cell where there is a true nucleus, membrane bound nucleus we find. In case of prokaryotic, there is no membrane bound nucleus is there and no prominent nucleus is there. In case of eukaryotic, there is a prominent distinct membrane bound nucleus is there, and within the nucleus we find the chromosomes. Such cells or such tissues are called eukaryotic. So the animals or plants which are made up of eukaryotic cells are placed in one group, and the plants and animals which are made up of prokaryotic cells are placed in one group, another group. Okay, so presence or absence of nucleus in the cell. Now another point is another point to be considered for the classification. Okay, body composed of single cells or multiple cells or group of cells. Body composed of single cell or a group of cells, okay, or many cells, multicellular group of cells. Now when we say protozoan, okay, the examples are amoeba, paramecium, plasmodium, the euglena, okay, all these are unicellular, only one cell, made up of only one. Bacteria unicellular, all the bacteria, okay, Salmonella typhi, Mycobacterium leprae, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, Salmonella, what we call that, Corynebacterium diphtheria, okay, and there are so many examples disease causing bacteria or non-lactobacillus, okay, Escherichia coli, the thousands and varieties of bacteria, all are single cells, okay, and in case of the protozoans, the single cell, okay, all these have only single cell, but they are single species, single individual organism, and some organisms are multicellular, formed of more than one cells, okay, multicellular. So based on the whether the body is composed of only one single cell, only one cell, or it is the multicellular, so we have got two groups broadly. There is the unicellular organism and multicellular organism, okay. So depending on this, there are the criteria. There is the most for the broad classification, okay, widely used during the study of the in the initial study of the biology. These are the different criteria that were studied for the broad classification of the organisms, okay. Number 3 is the autotroph autotrophs, producing own food, and heterotrophs, getting food from outside. Getting food from outside. Okay, so we can say that there are two main categories again. Okay, we know that the green plants are capable of synthesizing their own food because they have chlorophyll pigment in them, and this chlorophyll pigment enables them to entrap solar energy, and with the help of the solar energy they are able to synthesize glucose molecules. But in case of heterotrophic organisms like animals, we do not have any kind of chlorophyll pigment in our body, and we are heterotrophs. So based on whether the organism is able to synthesize their own food, whether it's autotrophic or getting food from outside, that is heterotrophic, based on this there are two broad categories: autotrophic organisms and heterotrophic organisms. Okay, based on this. So these are the some certain important. No, another important, the fourth one. This was also considered in biology. That is a development, and organization of different body parts. Organization of different body parts. Okay, now here we can see there are four important, I mean the most basic things. Okay, because if we see the all in the living world, okay, so there are so many different varieties, so we have to slowly one by one we have to divide. Like we have to first divide into two broad groups, then again within one group we have to see the other dissimilarities, then we'll divide into some other subtypes or subgroups. Then again we'll go to some finer and in more details about the characteristic feature and other anatomical features, then divide it further into other different groups. Okay, so in this way we divide into different groups and in different hierarchy. Okay, so these four are the some important characteristic features. The scientists, the geologists, the botanists, they use these characteristics to divide into broader categories of living world. Okay, now we come to the hierarchy of classification, and you must have heard about the scientist Linnaeus. He was one of the he is also called the father of the geology. Okay, so we will see hierarchy of classification. Another topic is hierarchy of classification. Okay, Linnaeus proposed a classification by arranging organisms into taxonomic group. Taxonomic groups of different levels. Different group in different levels. At different levels. different levels. According to the characteristics they have. Linnaeus was a scientist. He is one of the pioneer scientists who started this studying the different plants and animals. Okay, and he was the first scientist to try to classify the living world. Okay, so what happens? He actually proposed first, because later on, when as the science and technology, were developed, and there was some instruments were developed, like microscopes were developed, so we were able to see the cells in detail. Based on that, we came to know some important anatomical features. Okay, as the science and technology developed, we also came to know about the blood, okay, in detail. Okay, the blood cells in detail. Also, we came to know about the working of the different physiological system, for formation of urine, okay, the production of hormone, the production of enzyme, and the difference that we observed in other animals, like how the hemoglobin molecule, which is acting or working efficiently in case of the mammals, okay, and how it is different in other group of animals like reptile and amphibians. Also, that way we are able to know about all the different features in more detail. But initially, when the study of classification, or when the scientists they tried to classify, like Linnaeus, he observed some superficial and the morphological features. Based on that, he tried to classify and placed into different taxonomic groups in different hierarchy. Okay, so what he did is first he did the kingdom. First he divided into the kingdom. Okay, then after that kingdom is the phylum. Next is the phylum. Okay, then he classified. Then the next hierarchy, or next the taxon was the class. Then he made the order. Then the family. Then genus. And then the last one is the species. Okay, so kingdom, phylum, class. Okay, in some cases there is subclass, intraclass, superclass, etc. also, but these are the in general when he gave the different hierarchy and a taxon. Okay, a different taxa were like this: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. Okay, so in this way, all the plant kingdom, if you say plant kingdom, means all the plants. Okay, whether it is heterotrophic, or whether it is like fungi. Okay, plant fungi, or whether it is the trees or shrub or herbs, whether it is the the plant that has very no differentiation in like leaves, roots, stem, etc., or the plants which has got root, stems, leaves, etc. Okay, so all the plants means plant kingdom. Then again there is division in the kingdom, like different phylum. Okay, like animals, we see all the animals that is included in the animal kingdom. Okay, whether it is fishes, whether it is the reptiles, frogs, or birds or mammals. Okay, whether it is the echinoderms like starfish, whether snails, mollusks, annelida, earthworm, or cockroaches, arthropoda, or the worms, or flatworms, or roundworm, whatever it is, all are placed in animal kingdom. Then there is a division called phylum, and after that phylum is the class. Okay, again we're dividing. Like for example, the phylum Chordata, then we're dividing into different classes. Okay, so after the class we have got order. Okay, so like this he did up to he gave the hierarchy up to species. Okay, and species is the last taxon or last step, which cannot be further divided, because these species are reproductively isolated from other such a group. Okay, that I have already explained about this. Now, see species, just to understand, because in class 9, since we will study in higher classes about the species in detail, but I would like to say species is the important concept, because many students, since it is not much in detail in class 9, but some students must know about this so that they will not be confused. Obviously, you will study in higher classes, but you should have idea here also, because why up to species? Why not after the species? Okay, because species are group of organisms which are reproductively isolated from other such a group. So it is the last unit, you can say. How? Now you see, if you understand the definition and if you understand what is species, then you can understand why there are this number of taxon. Okay, so species is the basic unit. Species is the basic unit of classification. Unit of classification. Okay. Species is a group of living beings which can reproduce among themselves, among themselves and keep their population alive and their sustain their population. Okay, keep their population alive. Now, what is this species is actually I means when we say donkey, okay, and horse. So donkey is a one species and horse is another species. Okay, so donkey cannot mate with horse. Okay, there cannot be mating between the donkey and a horse. If there will be somehow. Okay, so that will not be, that there will be no development of embryo. Okay, the first of all external genitalia will not be compatible. Okay, so there will not be, but somehow if it is done, okay, so the male gamete, sperm cell, will not fertilize the female gamete. Okay, so that means it can mate, the donkey can mate with its own kind only. That means its own a member from its own population. So that is a species. Okay, so reproductively isolated from other such a group. Okay, they will reproduce among themselves to keep their population alive, but cannot mate, cannot reproduce with other group, because that other group is another species. Okay, so up to species, that is the basic unit. So species becomes the basic unit. Then the species, some species together from one genus, like we say Homo erectus or Homo sapiens. Okay, so one genus, under Homo there are two species. Like in case of potato, Solanum tuberosum. Solanum is the genus name, and the Solanum melongena, brinjal. Okay, eggplant. So both eggplant and potato, they belong to the same genus, but they are different species. So if we take the pollen grain from the Solanum melongena, brinjal, and try to fertilize with the potato, that's not possible. Okay, because both are different species. Although though they belong to the same genus. Okay, again the same group of genus, they can be placed under the a larger taxon called family. Okay, like in case of the what do you call this, the cats. Okay, or cat-like animals. Okay, so that will be again that some similar family will be placed under order, like carnivora. So like lion, cheetah, and tiger, the dogs, cats, they all belongs to the order carnivora. Okay, carnivora. So that means, and we belong to order primate. Okay, so under order primate, that's one. So in this way, so species being the basic unit of the. Okay, now another one is there. Now after this, so first the scientists, they tried to classify with the help of, that was the Number one is the two kingdom classification. Classification in the classification system. Okay, the first attempt was made, and two kingdom classification system was given. Okay, two kingdom classification. Two kingdom classification. Okay, and here Carolus Linnaeus, okay, the scientist, he classified Carolus Linnaeus. In 1758, classified the living organisms. Living organisms into two kingdoms. Okay, but that is plant and animal. So what it did, one was number A was the plant kingdom. Okay, and the number B was the animal kingdom. Okay, but this is too broad. Okay, because there are many variety within the animal kingdom and many variety in plant kingdom. Okay, so plant and animal kingdom. So he concluded that both the plant and animals are living organisms and should be classified into two kingdoms. But later on, other scientists, okay, a scientist called R.H. Whittaker, he classified into five kingdom. Okay, so five kingdom classification. Five kingdom classification. Okay, this was given by R.H. Whittaker, 1959, by R.H. Whittaker. R.H. Whittaker, 1959. 1959, and he further classified, okay, on the basis of the prokaryotic, eukaryotic, heterotrophic, autotrophic. Just right into first was the kingdom Monera, and this is widely accepted. Okay, kingdom Monera. Then number kingdom Protista, then kingdom fungi, then kingdom plantae, or plant kingdom. Okay, then the kingdom Animalia. So these five kingdoms were given by R.H. Whittaker. Okay. So their name is not important. The characteristic features of each of these kingdom, Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae, are important. That we will study in the next class tomorrow at the same time. Okay. Now this class is over. In the next class, okay, tomorrow we will study the features of each of these kingdom, Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae, which is important for exam. Okay. So after this class, as I have already explained and told you, that we will be sending the what we call this DPP, daily practice paper. Okay, so today also we will receive one daily practice paper problem. You go through that, and please download and answer the questions and send back to us. You will in your academic booster, when you log in, you'll click on the resources, and then after clicking on resources, you'll find that DPP in writing material. We click on the writing material, there you'll find this is. This is the resources, and here you click in the writing material. So there will be a DPP. As I add, there will be a list. Click on that for the today's topic. Whatever I have taught according to the topic, I will send you, and you will download and answer those questions. We will evaluate, and then we will send you the remarks. Thank you for joining, students. Okay, and so tomorrow we'll meet again at the same time. Thank you. Bye. Okay.